When and how should you address your target market in your pitch deck story? Let's find out. Now let's talk about who cares. That is your target market. Now, when you're working on the problem story, try to be specific about who is facing the problem. If you cannot fit that information on the problem slide, you'll need to add more slides that show your target market. Now, here's why this is important. Because when you're talking to investors, you need to show credibility by demonstrating that you know your market well. And when you're talking to your market, you need that information so you can build stronger relationships by demonstrating that you understand their wants and their needs. And of course, for your teams, you need to show leadership, and you need to be a better leader by guiding your teams to focus on the right market. Now, if you're not 100% sure on who's your target market, well, you're not alone. You'll be surprised how many people are not clear on their target market. And that's why it's always easier to use the elimination process. So start by having two lists. The first one would be people who need your solutions, and have another list about people who don't need your solutions. These are the people who are not likely to buy. Now, many in the industry call that negative buyer persona. So you get to describe the people who are not likely to buy, so you don't waste your time and money marketing to them. So for example, a retired couple is not likely to be interested in a career advancement bootcamp. So why would you want to be marketing to them? So if you take them out of the picture, then you'll be able to focus more, or you'll be able to identify more people who are more likely to need your solutions. Now you can dive deeper and create something called a user persona. Now a user persona slide is used for internal communications. That's something you would share with your team, and that's something you would do yourself as well first. So before you talk to investors in your market, you need to do that foundational work and some digging. So you'll find many slides like this where they give you a prompt to add a picture. Having a picture, it doesn't have to be a real person. It could be a stock picture. It just helps you visualize who you're talking to, and you can give them a name. And I do remember in my marketing days, we used to have about, maybe 5 to 10 personas. Sometimes we'd narrow it down for each industry, and we'd give them names. So we're saying, we're creating this campaign for Cody. We're creating this campaign for so-and-so. Because then once you personalize them, you'll be able to create better stories to fit their needs. So you can see here on the slides, you're guided to fill in some details. For example, what's their age, their occupation, location, and income, just to humanize them. What's their goals, their interests, and motivations. This will help you come up with better stories that will resonate with them. What are their fears and frustrations? So it could be also pains. So add anything on the slide that can help you identify what could be a good story for them. Now, my tip here would be is start with 3. If you just have 3, kind of as a perspective, having 3 can help you narrow down the common denominator between these 3. If you start doing too many to start, it could become complex. If you start with 1, it could be a good start, but if you have 3, try to create 3 of these, then it helps you kind of find the common denominator and come up with a better story that resonates with all of them. And then, of course, with your marketing campaigns and messages, you can create multiple stories to fit each persona. Now, you might also find slides like this one here. And of course, this is another one for internal use. This is not something you would share with investors or with your market. This is something that helps you ask the right questions. So you've got demographic, buying roles. This is important because the person who could be making the purchasing decision is not the person who could be your market. So if you have baby products, it's not the baby who's going to decide if they need them, it's the parent. So this is where you kind of see, even in a company, it's not usually the end user, might not be the person who would be the buying person. So this is where you need to get clear on who you're talking to. Is it the end user or the person who has the buying role? Usually if it's the buying role, because they have to make that buying decisions. So once again, you have different questions about channels where you could reach them. What's the buyer journey? How many times do they need to see your story? So you will find some of these slides that will help you answer the right questions. And really the main purpose is that you can narrow it down. And once you narrow down that story, you can now add it into your investor presentation. So on an investor presentation, you might identify or tell your investors, you know what, we've identified we have 2 target markets. So we have market number 1 and market number 2. Now, you don't have to give them all the details, but you just want to show why you pick this market so they see that you've done your homework. So that could be a very high level. This is something that you would share with investors. Another thing that you might share with investors could be your target market, where you're showing we've picked 2 markets, and then Is there anything in common between them? So you can tell them we've identified that's who they are, that's their use case, that's what they're interested in, and maybe in the center there's something that's common to both of them, and we can solve that problem for both of them. That could be a good story to share. So you'll find many templates that have this layout. So you get to pick and choose based on the context. Now here's another one that is a bit more specific. So you can see here, this is focusing on one target market only, not two. So you can see they've called it target market. Now I'm not a big fan of these slides that just call target market, but I just wanted to show you an example of what could be on a commercial template. So you can see in this case, they pick technology leaders, and they're more specifically, they're going for small and medium business leaders. So they're not going after enterprise. So, and they're going for companies that have 200 people or less. So they're being specific on the target buyer. Now, once again, you can combine all of this on one slide. So that's why you might find problem slide frameworks that look like this one. So you can see here, rather than a problem, they call it target audience. Now, once again, you can use this real estate more wisely and put a statement there, but then you're answering the same questions. Who is most likely to need your solution? Why are they more likely to need your solution? And number 3, what is the main problem they need to solve? Now, this kind of slide is, of course, more geared towards investors. It's not something you would share with your market, because you don't tell your market, who are you like that, because you'll be telling them a story that resonates with them. So this type of slide might work better for investment stories. So let me show you how it can translate. So rather than just call it target audience, you can use that top part to have a statement. Coding skills are in high demand. It's a statement. I always recommend you use that top title wisely and put a statement. So we're setting the context for the story. So who is that more females are looking to get into the tech industry? Why? They want to transition into higher paying careers with better prospects. And what is the problem? Well, they don't have the right skills or experience for the job they want. So more females are looking to transition from a general secretarial job to now something more technical, more artificial intelligence. That's where the need is, and that's where the money is. And so this would be the target audience. Now, in the previous example, we covered all 3 points on one slide. So I just show you the one with the coding school, how you can really combine all 3 elements in the outline, the problem opportunity, the why now, and the target market all on one slide. Of course, there's no wrong or right way. That's why I always say experiment with different slides. And once again, if you're talking to investors, they might tell you, just give me the highlights. They might need everything on one slide. But if you have more room or you have more time to present, you might want to break them up into different slides. This is your storyboard, and you get to make these changes during the editing process. So that's why I recommend you create variations, have them as a backup, and when needed, you can work on them. Now, in the next few videos, we're going to dive a little bit more deeper to talk about investment opportunity stories. But before we do that, do you remember, why do you need to know your target market? Can you remember? Well, there, I'll make it easier for you again. Investors, when you're talking to investors, you need to show credibility. So by having that market research done, you can show that you know your market and you know how to serve them. And when you're talking with your market, which is the end user, the buyer, or people who are going to be doing business with you, it's all about relationships. If you understand the market well, then you'll be able to tell better stories. And of course, with your team, it's all about leadership. You'll need to be able to guide your team to focus on the right marketing and sales activities. So your action items for this section really is to create a target market slide and to get more clarity on your market, even if you don't plan to use it. Just have them as backup slides, and also create variations. Find ways where you can mention your target market on your problem slide as well. So go ahead, and I'll see you in the next video.